Hello, everyone, and welcome to the course on Big Data on AWS. My name is Kanika. I am your course mentor, and I will be your guide all throughout your learning journey. I am AWS Solutions Architect certified with over 10 years of experience on open system technologies, big data, cloud, and in particular AWS. I have the experience of working on the projects across globe covering AWS architecture, AWS development, big data development with MapReduce, and till date I have trained and guided over 12,000 students towards cracking various AWS certifications. According to Anthony DeMello, he once said that you develop the passion for learning, and if you do so, you will never cease to grow. Now, this is exactly true with cloud computing. As we all know, in cloud computing market, AWS is the leading cloud service provider. Now, AWS brings up the complete solutions for compute, network, database, storage, and most importantly, big data. Being able to understand your business on a deeper level based on all your data and taking the strategic decisions in the real time is actually the essence of making big data work for you. If we see various startups to Fortune 500 companies, customers are running big data solutions on cloud. Why? Because this has helped them to gain the cloud advantages and further take good insight of their data. The size and complexity of the data today has increased many folds. Now, this means the same technologies and the approaches which we were using in the past, now they won't work. To come up with the best from your data, AWS provides most comprehensive, scalable, secure, and cost-effective portfolio of the services that enable your data lake in the cloud. Now, talking about this course, the course is not at all focused for making you learn big data, but the actual focus is to learn basically how to implement big data on Amazon Cloud. So it will help you validate the technical skills and experience in designing and implementing AWS services to derive the value from your data. So I will be helping you out throughout this course to learn how to implement the core AWS big data services according to the basic architecture, then learning about the best practices, how to set up, using those best practices, how to set up the architecture, then design and maintain the big data, leverage the tools to automate the data analysis. So let's learn the implementation of the big data on AWS. I wish you a very happy learning. Coming up next is the course overview. Thank you. Okay, now let's talk about the course overview. That is, what are we going to cover in the entire course? To start with, we'll be talking about the overview, where I'll be telling you about what is AWS and why do we use AWS for big data. Then we'll be talking about these different services or different solutions provided by AWS for big data, like big data analytical frameworks, real-time big data analytics options available with AWS, big data storage and database solutions with AWS, data warehousing options available with AWS, business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and big data computations which are there with AWS. Inside each section, we'll be talking about the AWS services which are providing solutions under each categories we have discussed so far. We'll talk about some case studies and we'll see the demonstration of each and every services under these categories. Then we'll see the limitations of these services, and finally we'll have the hands-on exercises for each and every service. Before going through the course, it will be helpful if you have the familiarity with some of these concepts, like what are databases, what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, an overview of what is AWS, and what is business intelligence and how does it help taking the critical business decisions. Though I'll be covering the overview of each and every topic, but it will be helpful if you have a prior knowledge or a basic understanding of these topics. Okay, so what is Amazon Kinesis? Kinesis makes it easy to collect, process, analyze real-time data so that you can get the timely insights and react quickly to the new information and make your business very, very much flexible. So with Kinesis, you don't have to bother about the infrastructure setup. Just now we were talking about the streaming data, collecting it, putting it on huge servers. No, so you don't have to set up any server. Okay, AWS will set up for you. You don't have to maintain those hardware and software installations. AWS is going to maintain it for you. You don't have to worry about that whether when the data will be huge, when the streams will be huge in numbers, how will you scale up your infrastructure or scale in your infrastructure? Everything will be managed by Amazon Kinesis itself. All right, so when we talk about the Kinesis services, we have three types of services: Kinesis Stream, Kinesis Firehose, and Kinesis Analytics. Let us see all of them one by one. Okay, so this is the data stream architecture of Kinesis. We have the producers on the left hand side and the consumers on the right hand side. Producers are those which will produce the data, and then there is something called Amazon Kinesis Stream. That means a stream which will divide your data logically into multiple other streams called shards. Okay, and then within each shard will process the data and will send it to the end customers. Now, some very important terminologies with data streams, as I said, shards and data records. Okay, so in the diagram, you've already seen something called shard. A data record is a unit of data stored in the Kinesis stream data. That means the data record are composed of a sequence number, a partition key, and a data blob, which is immutable sequence of the bytes. So that means one piece of data which cannot be broken further, okay, and then which contains sequence number, partition key, and a data blob is actually called a data record. Now, Kinesis data stream does not inspect, interpret, or change the data in the data blob in any way. A data blob can be up to 1 megabyte. Now, this is what is a data record. That means a piece of data which is coming, which contains all these things like sequence number, partition key, data blob, and these things make it uniquely recognizable. That is called one data record. When you collect this similar kind of data records and put it in one separate stream, it is called one shard. So, what is a shard? Collection of the similar data records that can be easily identified are known as shards. Now, let's say there's a piece of information which is coming from one source, piece of information coming from another source. Those two sets are different kind of contain different kind of data records. Now, I would want that the process of the analysis or the processing which should happen on the data which is coming from source 1 should happen separately, and from source 2 should happen separately. So I will create two shards into my data stream, and I will put the data coming from source 1 into shard 1 and the data coming from source 2 into shard 2, or I can mix and match also depending on what kind of data it is coming. So I will collect the similar kind of data records. Further, many such shards make one data stream. Okay, so as we saw in the previous diagram, in the diagram we had seen there are multiple shards. Each shard can support up to 5 transactions per second for read, or up to maximum total data read of 2 MB per second, and up to 1000 records per second for the writes, up to a maximum of total write data of 1 MB per second.
Now, there's another concept which is called the partition key. A partition key is used to group the data by shard within a stream. So, Kinesis data stream service segregates the data records belonging to the stream into multiple shards using the partition key. That means it is easily recognizable that what is the partition key. Based on that partition key, the data is sent on to the shard, respective shard. Okay, now let's go back to the diagram and see all these things with that particular diagram which we just saw in the previous slide. Okay, so this complete thing is one stream. Data is coming from EC2 instances, some client machine, and then from some mobile client, and then from some server. Okay, let's say as producers you are seeing on the left. Then further, the data is divided into multiple shards. The set of shards is one stream of data. Okay, now these shards can then be routed on to different consumers, and the consumers can be the EC2 instances. Further, it can be S3, DynamoDB, Redshift, EMR, or for analysis, we can further send into Kinesis Firehose as well. Okay, now we come on to the second category, which is called Kinesis Firehose. If we see the architecture of Kinesis Firehose, we are collecting the data here also, but it is mainly doing the transformation part. Okay, so if we talk about ETL services like extract the data, transform the data, and then load the data. So that is what your Firehose is doing. If you want to transform a piece of information which maybe you have collected from the directly from the data source, or you have collected from a data stream. Now you want to modify that data, modify the records in that data, then you have to send the data to Kinesis Firehose. So as you see in the diagram, it is taking the data source records, then Firehose delivery stream is there where the data is getting transformed, and further it is getting loaded onto the S3 bucket. Alright, as far as the Firehose features are concerned, Firehose collects the data, transforms it, and loads it to the desired destination such as S3, Elasticsearch, Redshift, Splunk, etc. It works on the data records, which is the data of interest that your data producer sends to Kinesis data delivery stream. A record can be as large as 1000 KB, okay, not more than that. And then Firehose works on the data sent by the Kinesis stream as well. Okay, coming to the last but not the least, which is nothing but Kinesis Analytics. That is the third service offered by Kinesis. So with Kinesis data analysis, you can process and analyze the streaming data using the standard SQL. Okay, now that the data is transformed, the data is loaded. It's time to analyze that data. Now, how do you normally analyze the data? You analyze it via reports, right? So you pull the data via standard queries. So with Kinesis Analytics, you can actually write down the standard SQLs. Okay, the service enables you to quickly author and run powerful SQL code against the streaming sources. That means the data is just coming and you're throwing a query onto it. You're performing the analytics on it. Okay, then it helps you to perform time series analytics, feed real time dashboards, and create the real time metrics. So, that word real time is important, which you cannot do with normal BI or reporting tools. So, it is used to generate the time series analytics. You can calculate the metrics over the time windows, and when stream values to S3 or Redshift through a Kinesis data delivery stream is added, then it is used to feed the real-time dashboards, and it is used to create the real-time metrics as well. All right, so time for the demonstration. Let's see how to visualize the web traffic using the Amazon Kinesis data stream. So in this demo, what we'll do is create a data producer that puts the simulated visitor counts from various URLs into the Kinesis data stream, and then create a data stream which durably stores those data records in the order they are in which they are received. And finally, we'll create a data consumer that gets the records from the stream and then calculates how many visitors originated from the particular URL. All right, so we are going to now create a sample application for data visualization, and this tutorial will demonstrate that how to use data streams for data ingestion and further analysis of that particular data. So we are now going to use CloudFormation to take up a sample a template which will create a kind of a data producer which is going to put the simulated visitor counts from various URLs into one Kinesis data stream, and then the stream stores these data records in the order in which they are received, and then the data consumer gets these records from the streams, and then it calculates, that means it analyzes that data and calculates how many visitors originated from a particular URL. Now we are going to use the sample application from CloudFormation to do so. Let us now go to CloudFormation. Okay, we'll click on create stack, and I'm going to choose the Amazon S3 URL, okay, which is already available. This is the URL Kinesis data with sample app.template. You can Google out this. All right, and I will say next. Okay, I will give the details here. Just giving the name to my stack. Okay, the instance type as t2.micro. I can opt for a key name in case I want to connect with the EC2 instance, and then the SSH location, that is from where you want to connect to the EC2 instance. I'll opt it for anywhere. Okay, then I'll go with the next. All right, I can provide the tags to my stack. Okay, I can leave this IAM part and the triggers part as such. Okay, I'll say next. And finally, I will acknowledge and I will create. Okay, so we can see here that the sample kinesis stack is in progress. It will take at least 10 minutes to complete it, and once the stack is completed, we'll again resume the video. Alright, as we can now see that our sample kinesis is now ready, we'll just click on this and we can see in the outputs tab, we have so many things created. Now there is one stream, okay, now that is the kinesis stream which is being created by your template, okay, and this is the application. All right. Now this application will create one table, that is your DynamoDB table. If I check in the resources, I will see all those physical tables. See, there's one table which is created, that is count dynamo table, DynamoDB table. That means that is a consumer. Okay. There is one application which is a producer, which is putting the data into this Kinesis stream, and further there are two consumers. There's this one consumer, that is one table, and the other table which is the counts table, which will give us the complete output. There is one EC2 instance which is created on which your application is there, that is the producer is there, okay, and there are some role policies and some conditions created. Okay, when I go to outputs table, I can see a URL here. If I click on this URL, this will give me the data visualization. Now, this is something which is like a chart, okay, and that chart is updated after every 1 second, and it displays a number of requests sent by the referring URL over this 10-second span. Okay, within the 10 seconds, whatever data is coming, that will be represented here, and the span of the graph is for the last 2 minutes. So whatever data is coming for the last 2 minutes will appear here. So if you are able to see here, we can see the data, being is coming here. So the graph displays last 120 seconds of count as calculated by the Amazon Kinesis data visualization sample application. The data is given here as well. See, from google.com, then from amazon.com, etc. These are all the different URLs that are sending data. Okay, Now let's move on and check our EC2 instance. We'll go back and go to EC2. We will see there is one instance which is being started. Yes, we have a running instance. And what is that instance called? Okay, this is the instance, right? This is the instance which is started by, the Kinesis. See, we can see here also. This is started by the Cloud Formation Stack Kinesis. Okay. Then under Monitoring tab, I will just drag this up. We are able to see the complete details, the CPU utilization, network inputs, and everything. All right. Now let's go to the DynamoDB part, that is to see our consumers, which are actually consuming the data. So we have seen the producers end, and we have seen we will now see the consumers end. Okay, now we have here, we'll go to the tables. Let's see. Yes, there are two tables which are created. Okay, one is Kinesis KCL DynamoDB table, and the other one is the counts table. I can see the items over here. All right, we have certain items here which represents the two shards. That means in our Kinesis stream we have two shards. One shard is this one and the other one is this one. Okay, then comes your counts DynamoDB table, and here the data is getting collected. So it will actually count the data. So all your requests are getting collected here in this table. Okay, let's go to Kinesis now, which is the main part where the stream is getting created. The shards in the stream are actually collecting your data. So if I go here, I have all the options here: data streams, Firehose, and analytics, okay, video streams, etc. Let's go and check our stream which got created. So it has automatically got created. Okay, further you have an option to connect it to Firehose also in case you want to change it. All right, now here you say it is saying that sending the data to the stream. Okay, and we have two shards here. If we see here, see, we have two shards here. We can anytime edit it and modify it in case you want to increase some shard limit and then further connect it to Firehose. You can do so. All right, okay, so also under the monitoring tab, we can see the complete data. So for the last 1 hour, the period of 5 minutes, we can see the get records, okay, and the put records. The latency can be measured, okay, and incoming data which is coming to the streams and all. Okay, so in this way the stream can actually be monitored from here. So hence we've seen here, if we go here again, the output is displayed in a very fine way by Kinesis, that the top three referrers by count are given here, that google.com, bing.com, and reddit.com, and here we can see all the 6 URLs being displayed at what time, which one was higher. Probably at this time there were more numbers from bing.com, and then this at this time this google.com was the highest one, and hence in this way the Kinesis displays the real time data, that is for the past 2 minutes whatever data is coming is being shown here with the help of Kinesis data stream. All right. So Amazon SageMaker is a service that is fully managed platform that enables the developers and the data scientists to quickly build, train, and deploy the machine learning models at any scale. So SageMaker actually removes the complexity that holds back the developer success with each of these steps, like collecting and preparing your training data to discover which elements of your data set are important. Now, first step of machine learning is always collecting your data and preparing the data which you want to train on. Okay, so Collecting and preparing becomes easy with the help of Amazon SageMaker. You don't have to worry about the data set, elements, and all. Then selecting which algorithm and frameworks you will use. So Amazon SageMaker will provide you pre-defined algorithms and the frameworks. You can pick, choose from those, and you can bring in your custom algorithm as well. So you have the option of both. Then teaching the model how to prepare the predictions by training, which require a lot of compute effort. And then finally, tuning the model so that it delivers the best possible predictions. Now, SageMaker provides this capability, which is inbuilt, which is often a tedious task and a manual effort. SageMaker is making it easy by managing or by tuning the model by itself. Okay, so this is how your Amazon SageMaker works. You can connect to other AWS services and transform the data in the SageMaker notebooks. So there are some predefined Jupyter notebooks which are present with Amazon SageMaker. You can choose whatever suits best to your requirement from those options, and then you can connect to the other AWS services from them. Then you can use the SageMaker's predefined algorithms and frameworks, or you can bring in your own algorithms as well to for the distributed training. Finally, you can tune using the SageMaker model by adjusting multiple combinations of algorithm parameters. And once the training is completed, models can be deployed to SageMaker endpoints for real-time predictions. Further, we have discussed most of the benefits of Amazon SageMaker, but just a quick recap of the benefits. You can get to production with machine learning very much quickly. You can choose any framework or the algorithms. As I said, there are predefined algorithms and the frameworks available with SageMaker. Then it is one-click training and deployment. You don't have to bother about any of the infrastructure setup. Then you can easily integrate with your existing workflow, easy access to the trained model you have, and then it is optimized for providing you the best in class speed and good performance. Okay, so some of the important use cases of SageMakers, although these use cases are same as that we have for artificial intelligence or machine learning, or rather we should say MXNet. So same are the use cases for Amazon SageMaker. Like we have taken a few examples like advertisement targeting. So mostly online business sends the advertisements. So how Amazon SageMaker can help optimize your return on the advertisement spend. Okay, is the big use case of Amazon SageMaker. So it can, because it can easily train and deploy machine learning models which can be more effective while targeting the online advertisement and providing a better customer engagement and conversation between the sales and the end user. So it helps you in providing a better model for targeting your advertisements. Then credit default prediction. So generally for the credit cards holder, the default prediction is done. So SageMaker makes it easy to predict the likelihood of the credit default, a common machine learning problem what we have. And Amazon SageMakers integrates tightly with some of the good analytical frameworks which do this credit default predictions. Like we have Amazon Redshift, EMR, AWS Glue, and this allows you to publish large, diverse data sets onto S3 data lakes and then transform them quickly and build machine learning models on SageMaker and hence do the predictive analysis. Then supply chain and demand forecasting. So again, SageMaker provides infrastructure and algorithms needed to develop individual sales forecast for every product in the largest e-commerce settings. So with the time series and product category data alone, SageMaker picks up the seasons, trends, product similarities to deliver accurate forecast even for the new items. Then click-through prediction. So click-through is again a very important terminology when we talk about supply chain or ad targeting, wherein the users, when they click on something, the data, the click stream is collected, and based on that, the interest is actually predicted. So SageMaker provides both single machine and distributed CPU implementation of many algorithms which are useful in multiple classifications, regressions, ranking use cases such as maybe you've heard of ad click borrow rate predictions, etc. Now let's see a quick walkthrough of Amazon SageMaker, wherein we'll see some of the built-in algorithms and we'll see how do we create the Jupyter notebooks. Alright, so we are on to the Amazon SageMaker console, and on the left hand side you can see I do not have anything, so I am on to my dashboard and we have notebook instances. Then first thing is you need to create a notebook instance, so it will provide you a variety of options for that. And then we will have the training jobs. We have to create a training job in which it will give you some inbuilt algorithms which you can choose to train. And then in case you want to bring in your own algorithm, that option is also there with SageMaker. And then finally you can build in the inferences, you can create the models, and you will have the option of endpoint configurations and endpoints and batch transform jobs. So let us start with creating a notebook instance. So I'll quickly click on create notebook instance. I will give it a name. Okay, now it is asking you the instance type of the notebook. So I am going ahead with the default one. Then you need to provide the IAM policy to the notebook. So you need to create a role. For that, in case you already have a role created, you can choose. Otherwise, you will say create a new role. Now, why are we doing this? Because notebook instances require permissions to call the other services, including SageMaker and the data which will be collected on S3. So for that, you require to create a new role. So once you click on this, it will ask you to create a new role. So I will say any S3 bucket for the demonstration I'm doing so. Otherwise, you will provide the input from a specific S3 bucket, and I will say create a role. Okay, once the role is created, you should attach this IAM role with your notebook instance. Okay, if you create it via IAM console. Otherwise, when you create it from here, the IAM role will be attached to your notebook instance. Now, in case you want to keep the instance inside a VPC, you can go ahead and keep it inside a VPC. For the demonstration, I'm not choosing any VPC. Okay, then in case you want to have a life cycle configuration for your notebook instance, you can choose. Otherwise, for the demonstration, we'll keep everything as default. Then you can provide a key value pair so that you can actually identify your notebook instance. All right, and then I will click on create notebook instance. So it will take some time, and your status in some time will change from pending to created. So please make note. Please make a note. It is a EC2 instance that is being created. So it will be. We will pause the video till the time we have our instance up and running. Okay, so as we can see, our notebook instance is ready. We can click on this instance and we can check the details which we provided. The storage is 5 GB EBS volume, and we have the other details. Okay, then we can go on to the lifecycle configuration. So a lifecycle configuration is a script which actually you want at the time of the notebook instance creation to run. Okay, in case you want some script to be run, you can write down your script here. Okay, and at the time of creation, as I showed you, there we had a option to have the lifecycle configuration. The script will automatically run. Then training jobs. So under training jobs, we will go to create training jobs. Second section. Okay, first you've created a notebook instance, and now we are creating a job for training. All right, now I can give a name here. Okay, and then IAM role. So SageMaker requires permission to call the other services. That's the reason we are choosing IAM role. And then algorithm. So it has so many predefined algorithms. You can choose any of the algorithms. So most of the famous algorithms are here. In case you want to bring in your own algorithm, you have an option of custom algorithm. Okay, otherwise you can choose any algorithm. Okay, and then it is asking you that do you want the input type to be file or a pipe? You can choose file, and rest all you can leave as default. It is asking you the resource configuration, how many instances you have, do you have the encryption key? All these details you have to provide. Okay, and then you have the hyperparameters. You can keep it to default or you can vary according to your requirement. Okay, so for the demonstration purpose, we'll keep everything as default, and just few important parameters we need to check, like we need to provide these hyperparameter values. Okay, and then we need to provide the input data configuration, that from where that the S3 source from where you want the data to be taken up, that is the location of the S3 bucket, and the output data configuration as well, where you want the data to be put back. Okay, then finally you will click on create training job. So my training job has started created, and after some time it will be created. So this is how you create the training jobs. Then finally you have the inference section where you have the models. You can create different types of models here, okay, in a similar way. And then endpoint configurations you can do, and finally when you create your models, finally you can actually deploy them. That is, you can deploy to various endpoints. So I will give a name to my model, and then IAM role, so that SageMaker may call other services on your behalf. And then in case you want to keep it inside a VPC, you can do so. Okay, otherwise for the demonstration we are not choosing any VPC. Then for the models that are actually trained in SageMaker, you have to provide the location of the model artifacts. Okay, so in case you want to use the custom containers, then you don't need not provide all these details. Otherwise you have to provide these details. That is the path where the inference code image is stored, okay, on Amazon ECR. That path you have to provide here. Then the location model artifacts, where the model artifacts are actually stored. Generally we store them on S3, so you have to provide that path. Then the container host name, okay, the container which you are using, the name of that container, and the environmental variables in case you are using a Docker container in that case. And then finally you will provide the tags option, and then you can click on create model. So in this way, you have seen that it provides you very good interface, which is very user friendly, and you can create your notebooks, train the jobs, and then create the models. And finally, you can use the endpoints to deploy these models as well.